Welcome to Unscripted, which is where I yap about things with no script. Are having goals actually bad for you? But just stay with me here because it's probably not what you think it is. If you're like me and you have many goals, you're really ambitious, you want to do a lot of things in life, they might seem very unachievable. You might be feeling really overwhelmed and wondering how you're going to finish this all up in one lifetime. I was talking to my friend and I was asking them, what do you want to do in life? And then they replied to me, actually, I don't really think about it. And I was confused because I was like, how do you not think about what you want to do? And they're just like, I'm kind of just focused on the present and just focused on everything I can do now. And it got me thinking that, like, if I only had the problems ahead of me, if I only had today's problems, next week's problems, how stress-free I would be, because I wouldn't be constantly comparing my current self to my future self with all the goals. It makes me realize that in the present, your entire sense of self is from the future. So don't get me wrong, like I know it sounds like, oh, I just hate goals, but it's not that. I'm all for thinking about what you want to do and, having big goals. Cliche as it is, the sky's the limit. You can achieve whatever you want as long as you just put the hard work in. You have the biggest ambitions you want to. No one is stopping you. Well, don't let people stop you. Have that vision board and have whatever helps you. You might be a person that absolutely thrives on the pressure of the future. But I've realized that maybe you're someone like me that if you have these big goals, you get scared of them and you're just like, how do I? And it's like the decisions you make now, you feel like that they're going to severely impact your future. As at least for me, I feel like that if I stuff up one decision, it's going to change the course of my life. Or I think about that decision, how is that decision going to get me to my goals? Okay, I know that sounds like a good thing to question. And look, I used to think it was an amazing thing and I like that trait. I think it's a good trait to have. But I've realized when you always think like that, I've realized how bad it can be for you, especially if those goals are like 10, 20, 30 years in the future. If your goal was to start doing Pilates in the next 2 months, of course you're going to think about, how can I start? Okay, I'm going to research this and then I'm going to call them. That decision is going to help me get towards my goal. And then I'm going to, book it. That decision is going to help me towards my goal, right? Because that to me is a short-term goal. That's something that you can work towards, and those decisions will impact whether you start that Pilates class. But I'm talking in 10, 20, those like later long-term goals. I wonder, is the uni degree that I choose going to impact those goals? Maybe. And that's honestly, that's a if you have an innate and true and full belief that you will get to your goals no matter what, it shouldn't matter. And I know that might be controversial, but I think you have to trust that the decisions you make now will inevitably get you to your goals. It has to be that strong of a belief. That might not be a solution for everybody, but it works for me. And I hope that, if you can have that kind of belief in yourself, that it gives you such a peace of mind. I think it helps people that it really helps people that like to be in control a lot. It helps them think like, okay, whatever, it's okay. I don't need this decision is not going to completely change my life. It's good for people that feel like they need a plan for everything. Going back to the kind of stress you would feel every day, if you just focused on today, you would be so much less stressed because you just constantly think, okay, what can I do today? I feel as though when you think of just today or just tomorrow, you think about what is achievable in this day rather than what you can achieve in those 10 years, because you can achieve a lot in 10 years, but if you break it down to just that day, it's a lot easier. Like if you think to yourself, like, what can I do today that would help me out tomorrow or help me out to my goals? I don't know how to explain my theory, but I know when you ask yourself, oh, what can I do to help me with my goals. You know, you're thinking about your goals, but it's more about the fact that you don't feel overwhelmed, and maybe you do tick off some of your goals to become more confident, to be less of a people pleaser, whatever your goal is. Even if you do achieve those goals, maybe you don't even notice that you've achieved them because you're too stuck on trying to go after your next goal. And I think, side note, it's so important to acknowledge your achievements and how far you've come. Think back at yourself 2 years ago. How different were you, and how much have you grown? And I'm just going to say it right here. You have grown so much, and you deserve to be proud of yourself. And even if you're thinking to yourself like, oh, but like, that's normal, everyone goes through that, everyone gets better, that does not take away the fact that you did it. And to be very clear, I am so guilty of all of this, which is why I'm making a video about it, to maybe share some of the thoughts I've been having recently to my fellow overachieving, future planning, ambitious people. I said this before, but I am not against goals. Like, I think it's so important. Well, I personally cannot imagine myself without having goals, without having ambitions. I think it's what gives you purpose. It gives you a reason to wake up every day. In a way, some people don't have goals, so in a way, I'm grateful to have goals, because some people just don't know what they want to do, and people can't tell them what they want to do. Obviously, they just need to know. So that was my yap about maybe goals are not great, with a bit more context behind it. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope it was thought-provoking. I hope you think about some things now. I hope it's gotten you thinking. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. And if you feel comfortable, comment and let me know what you think.